Hello everyone, this is Greyshot117 and welcome to New Units. This week we'll be going over the SturmTiger, aka the Assault Tiger, aka the Panzer Sturmmörser, aka the Tiger Mörser, aka the thing that has way too many names I'm just going to stop at right now. This thing was made by the Alket company in response to Stalingrad. So the Germans had a big problem in terms of urban combat. A lot of their vehicles, while they would excel on open ground, sucked in urban combat fighting infantry, kind of dislodging them out of buildings, while the Stug 3 was fine with the assault variant for explosive power, and eventually the design of the Brummbär and production of the Brummbär proved somewhat useful for the Germans. It just wasn't enough to stand up to heavy AT tactics, so they needed something that could stand up to the firepower while also helping to dislodge the enemy within buildings and other fortifications. So the SturmTiger was born. It was designed in 43, shown Hitler in October of 43, and eventually he put in the request for full production, aka the order, because again he's head of the government, as he saw this as literally a game changer in urban combat, hoping to lead the way to German victory in the world. The problem in that was the small little issue of Allied bombings currently halting production. So this thing really didn't come into play until mid-44, and by then the sort of tactics of Germany changed from offensive to defensive. Yeah, in 42, they were still pushing into the Soviet Union. By 44, the Soviet Union was pushing into German-held Poland and other German-held regions across Europe. So this assault gun designed for urban combat, aka offensive play, not a great idea for this scenario, but hey, they still put in production. So what exactly did this thing have up its sleeve? Well, I will say this: it had a 380mm gun that could fire essentially a depth charge. That's right, this thing had a weapon designed by the Kriegsmarine. Even though the original design had a 210mm howitzer, they scrapped it because they didn't have the available resources. And also on a side note, this thing had 800-pound shells, which is why if you see on photos why this thing had a crane, it was to lift up the shells with the crew and fit the 14 shells that it could carry inside the SturmTiger. Now, originally Hitler wanted to make 300 shells a month to support these weapons, but unfortunately because of production issues, they just never hit that mark. The length of the hull was about 6.28 meters length, about 3.57 width, and about 2.85 meters height. It had a crew of 5 and was active in production between the summer of 1944 to December 1944. It also had secondary armaments such as a light machine gun and a small little grenade launcher to help keep other infantry and even help stop tanks if they got way too close from getting onto this thing. Its armor was actually pretty damn good. Its hull had 100mm, and the sides only had 60. The rear actually had 80mm, it was actually pretty damn good. The bottom had about 25, but once again, if you're on the bottom of that thing, I have no idea how the heck you're getting a shot on it. This thing had really good armor. In some parts had 150mm thick armor at about 45 degrees slope. Now again, just put in perspective, this thing could withstand most Allied forces in terms of AT firepower. But in any case, this thing could also go 40 kilometers an hour out of about, 120 kilometer range. Not amazing, and again, that was on road. Off, it did about half that, but hey, that's not too bad for this damn thing. So good job on that design, Alket. So how did it do in combat? Well, it was sent, and the first action it got was in the Polish uprising, which it did well, but once again, you're fighting people who don't have tanks, anti-vehicle weapons, and are pretty much stuck inside of and surrounded by your own forces. This isn't exactly a fair fight, so yeah, it did well. But in other fights, such as battles with the Allies on the Western Front, it didn't do as hot. Now, once again, most of them were actually sent to the Western Front, where most of them met a grisly fate. During the Ardennes assault, many of them perished, and there wasn't really a record of them doing well, which is another thing I want to bring up. This thing was highly inaccurate, and while it did have a devastating boom, it had a hard time hitting its target. There are definitely reports from American infantry saying that they saw this thing blow up Allied tanks or blow up entire regiments of Shermans, but the problem is the fact that a lot of the time, Stuka bombs and long-range artillery were doing exactly that. So it's very possible this thing fired and someone saw it fire, but another unit actually hit the target while this thing's shot veered wildly and missed. And that's the biggest problem with this thing, is accuracy. It couldn't hit a bridge. Literally, it couldn't hit a designed target of a bridge the Germans needed to blow up during the Battle of Remagen. All the Germans needed to do was to blow up a bridge, and they couldn't even manage to do it with two of them. With two of them firing, they kept missing. In conclusion, this thing, on paper, really interesting design, but unfortunately because of lack of experience with this thing, very few units actually made because of rampant production issues, and also just really lack of effective combat. This thing just didn't make a dent on the battlefield. But in any case, that's the SturmTiger. Not living up to the Tiger's name, but maybe we'll check out the Tiger another time. Tune in next week to where we look up to the skies for our next unit, but I want to thank you for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. This has been Greyshot117, and I'll see you all next time. Hello everyone, and before I go, I want to give a special shout out to Joey, Ace, Lobo, Leo, Nick, and Tim. Thank you guys so much for your awesome support. You guys rock and help me do what I do. So thank you, and I'll see you guys next time.